Patriot is Steven Seagal's 11th film, and is technically his first direct-to-video movie. It did have a limited release. I think they showed it in Romania for like a day and a half. So we have seen Seagal's interest go from Buddhism to environmental issues, back to Buddhism with a heavy emphasis on New Age mystical healing, back to environmental issues, onto his blues guitar phase, and now he's into rancher cosplay. So this movie will reflect that. In fact, it is literally filmed on Steven Seagal's ranch that I'm gonna guess he bought 6 months prior without knowing the first thing about maintaining a ranch. This also marks the first time that Seagal plays a doctor. I mean, that is shocking. You would think that every Steven Seagal character would have a throwaway line about him earning a PhD in just under 2 years or some shit. But like, he just did it because he was bored. Like, as a goof. We begin with Dr. Wesley McLaren as he's wrangling a young calf. And don't worry, animal lovers, Seagal made sure that every animal was harmed in the making of this picture. Even the ones that had no screen time, he personally harmed or harmed through wanton neglect.
How come you don't use antibiotics like everybody else?
You see, antibiotics are evil. This is a mixture of my urine, semen, and blood. This animal will now be invincible. McLaren and his ranch hand Frank find a very sick foal that belongs to his daughter.
I think we better put her down.
Frank, put that rifle away.
Oh my god, Steven, stop! And basically, Seagal was just using the investor funds for this movie to pay for the disposal of dead animals at his ranch.
What are you doing?
Homework.
Weren't you supposed to do this last night?
Yeah, but I walked up the hill.
You walked up the hill. And what did Daddy tell you about walking up the hill at night?
Well, I don't know. You started telling me about an old Chinese man you once knew, and then you were speaking so softly that I assumed you fell asleep, so I went up the hill. On the other side of the hill, an armed militia is in a standoff with federal authorities. The militia is led by Floyd Chisholm. And now, Floyd is obviously crazy, but honestly, if you spent any time with Ernest P. Worrell and his incessant buffoonery, you would be driven to your breaking point as well. And Floyd tells his men that he's going to surrender, but in fact, he's injecting himself with a deadly virus.
Looks like you're making a lot of mistakes over there, girl. Now, just keep one thing in mind. When you get it wrong, that's the part where you take after your mother. When you get it right, you get it from me.
I love how his character is just bad-mouthing his daughter's mother right in front of her. Remember, he's the good guy. But Seagal was going through a divorce at this time to Kelly LeBrock, so I 100% believe this was ad-libbed by Seagal, and he's really just sending a message to Kelly LeBrock. Like, the girl playing his daughter is probably like, okay, weirdo. They get to a roadblock, and Frank tells him that Floyd surrendered.
Listen, I got nothing against plain army. I don't mind that at all. I think the ideology of some of these folks is good.
I get the feeling that the lawless militia freaks are going to be painted as misunderstood outcasts because that is what Steven Seagal believes. Floyd is given a court hearing and the judge allows his propaganda tape to be played.
The Constitution don't say that this barrel has got to be longer than 18 inches. When those ATF gun grabbers come knocking on my door, I'm going to be ready for them.
Right.
Like, this movie knows that Floyd and his men aren't supposed to be the good guys, right? And then Floyd grandstands and spits in the judge's face. And now Wesley runs a family practice that specializes in holistic therapy because, of course, he does. It's what Steven Seagal believes in. So why would his character not believe in it? His character is Steven Seagal. And I feel like that after 11 movies, it shouldn't bother me anymore, but is there another actor who exclusively plays themselves in every movie? There's gotta be some out there, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. So let me know in the comments. Who else besides Steven Seagal only plays themselves?
That's right, kidney's still shut down.
Hospital in Bozeman says I need dialysis.
Listen, if I put you on a special diet and vitamin regime, will you stay on it? I want you to stick to it, and we'll get that kidney right again.
How come they didn't tell me this in Bozeman?
Because in Western medicine, they're in the business of prolonging illness, and I'm in the business of curing it.
God, I mean, it's true when you think about it. Like, why would drug companies want diseases to be cured? Like, they'd be out of business. But I also don't think that some herbs and vitamins are going to fix a man who is in kidney failure. Heart disease, maybe. Gonorrhea, hopefully. Fingers crossed, gang. Wesley gets a call from a former government colleague asking Wesley for help.
Look, I'm heading up a unit called the Biological Response Team, and
Who's paying the bills?
you know.
Little alphabet company rhymes with CIA.
Pea Pie Day? That's not even a thing.
You're the best damn immunologist we have in this country.
Of course he is. Of course he's a former government agent who's the best there ever was. Just like the last 10 times. Steven, I am begging you, Please, play a character named Bosco who is a used car salesman. Like, he's not an expert in martial arts, doesn't know shit about the blues, he believes in penicillin, and he lives with his kooky brother-in-law. I don't know, just something, anything different. Because you are the most boring person on the planet. I don't know if I can do this dude's entire filmography. I just don't know. I don't know if I have it in me. And Wesley gets a call about an emergency at the hospital, and the doctor needs Wesley's advice because the judge is brought in very sick. And I'm sorry, no offense to anyone who is a proponent of holistic treatment, but no MD is going to bring someone like that in for advice. They would make fun of them every day in the break room. They're not going to them for help.
Respiration is 30 and shallow. Pulse is 105. And he's hot.
I mean, yes, he's sexy in an obvious down-to-earth way. I wouldn't say he's hot. Oh my God, you mean he has a fever? Oh dear God. A deputy sheriff collapses and Wesley knows right away that they're dealing with a level 5 biohazard. And he calls Bach to send the team and quarantine the town. So the virus seems to be airborne, so why is Wesley not getting sick? Like, I already know he won't, and I already know why, because he's Steven Seagal. He's immune from all diseases.
What is going on? The whole damn town's sick.
I don't know, but I got a bad feeling something's about to get ugly. I want Holly to stay here with me, and I want you to stick around town.
Oh no, maybe he is getting sick. It seems to have affected his vocal cords. Poor guy, he can barely speak above a whisper. The military shows up to begin the quarantine, and Seagal again gets on his soapbox.
Could have destroyed this stuff like I told you.
Look, Wes, what do you want from me, huh? I mean, I just came to help contain the damn thing. How was I to know?
You got to destroy this shit. You cannot keep stockpiling this stuff. It's what's going to take out the human race. Now, whether it's the Russians, the Chinese, or the Americans, somebody's going to steal it, and somebody's going to let it go. Now look at us.
And again, Seagal is correct, but he just adds this stuff into his movies in the most awkward way possible. Like, he's preaching about this to someone that knows this stuff already. He's just so blunt with his ideology, there's no subtlety or nuance, which is crazy from a man who refuses to raise his voice. Like, I feel like he wants to be looking directly at the camera, and he probably fought with the director to not do that. Now, I love movies about viruses and outbreaks, like the movie Virus or Outbreak, and if this movie would have been given a proper budget and didn't include Steven Seagal, then this could have been like a great summer blockbuster even. You know, maybe a sharper picture. And before you mentioned the picture quality, like, this was the best DVD I could find. Like, there is no Blu-ray copy of Steven Seagal's The Patriot, all right? This is the best you're gonna get. And if there is, I didn't look for it. Just then, Floyd's men take over the town and they free Floyd. But they discover that the military has the same antitoxin that they're on, and so there is no cure for the virus. I mean, unless you're Steven Seagal. The man has never been sick a day in his life. Oh, sure, he gets violent diarrhea once a month, but that's just his body's way of expelling toxins. It's a holistic thing you wouldn't understand. Pogue discovers that Wesley's daughter is immune to the virus also, so they begin to search the hospital trying to find her. But Wesley easily neutralizes Floyd's men, and the movie forgets how physical matter works. Is that door made of cardboard? And he just jumped out the window, Holly first, and they race back to their house. And now I've been saying for 10 movies that I want Seagal to wear something other than the usual black outfit. I changed my mind. This is 1,000 times more unsettling. Why is his extremely red shirt buttoned all the way to the top? No, I don't like that at all. Oh God, and he's got glasses now? Harry Potter glasses now? This is disgusting. It's like the Wishmaster granted my wish, but twisted it, so it's not what I wanted at all. Ooh, and I think Seagal's career is enough in the toilet that he could be in a new Wishmaster movie. I think it would be hilarious to see Seagal throat chop the djinn. What do you wish of me? I wish that you would just go away. I cannot hear a word you are saying. I said I wish that you would yourself, and then I wish that you would save us. Seriously, what are you saying? Did you make 3 wishes? Floyd's men show up and Frank kills all but one, and he gets gunned down, and poor Seagal is forced to try to act sad. And man, this low-budget The Last of Us adaptation kind of sucks.
Frank is our guardian angel. He's up in heaven right now. Looking down,
I ain't
laughing
dead,
at
you
us, 'cause
jackass.
he's gonna be all right.
I keep trying to tell you. I'm just terribly, terribly hurt. You are an awful doctor, and I'm starting to think that you didn't go to medical school. Please, get me to a real hospital. You just chewed up some berries and shoved them in my wound. It hurts so bad. Oh, dear God. Every second I'm alive on this cold, cold ground is agony. Curse you, Wesley McLaren. Curse you to hell. Or whatever version of the afterlife you currently believe in.
I don't want to think about Frank. Because I remember he's dead. It makes me sad. And I think about Mom and it makes me sadder.
Hold the f***ing phone. So when Wesley said this,
When you get it wrong, that's the part where you take after your mother.
he was referring to Holly's dead mother? Oh my God.
I had a dream about Mom last night.
Was she constantly stepping on rakes and getting smacked in her dumb face? She was so stupid. May she rest in peace, apparently. They bury Frank at Holly's grandfather's house, and they find that his caretaker, Ann White Cloud, is also immune to the virus. So they travel to a secret government lab that's hidden in the mountains, and all the troops there are infected. So Wesley gets to work developing an antidote. And in a reflection of what probably happens in his own clinic, the bodies begin piling up because Wesley is terrible at his job. And only one soldier is not getting sicker, and they discover it's because he's been drinking the special tea brewed by Holly's grandfather called red medicine. And so Wesley creates an antidote with it, and the soldier recovers. They race back to their ranch for reasons unknown. I mean, Floyd is still after his daughter. That's why you took off to her grandfather's house. I would expect a man who was born in Lansing, Michigan, but pretends to be a Native American every day of his life to be smarter than that. So Floyd's men take them back to Floyd's compound, and Wesley immediately stabs Floyd and rescues his daughter. And he tells the government how to create the cure, and the soldiers begin picking wildflowers. Wow. This is a powerful image. Oh, speaking of powerful images, oh man, I didn't think we were going to get to see him run in this movie. Oh, and he's just dragging that poor little actress around. Hilarious. So the military begins dropping flowers on the town.
These flowers will stop the virus and are being dropped to everyone in the quarantine area. Collect them, boil them, and wait for medical teams that will be arriving shortly.
And is that really the best way to distribute this life-saving medicine? Make people who are too sick to even stand go outside and pick up flower petals and boil them and wait for you? Like, mix it up yourselves. Go door to door, you lazy assholes. And so that was The Patriot. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. It just had way too much Seagal shit in it, which, you know, is an odd complaint for a Steven Seagal movie. But honestly, I would love to see what the scripts for his movies are like before he's attached to them and is granted creative control. Like, if I was a millionaire, I would remake every Steven Seagal movie, but cast a normal person in the lead role, except for Under Siege. That movie's perfect. Seagal was placed on this earth just to make Under Siege, but then he just forgot to go away.